The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Carson Soucy in the Vancouver Canucks. This is a bigger steal for the Vancouver Canucks than that time, Kyle, that I stole your girlfriend.
Oh, man. You're really going to bring that up? The one time Trevor Beggs stole my girlfriend and we still managed to be friends because I'm weak and soft. And I just love Trevor Beggs. Like, there's no way I could just let you go out as a friend, you know? Because then we wouldn't be doing this. Doing what? Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Is that a true story? You'll never know, but one thing I do know is that you're here with us on Locked On Canucks. Welcome to the show. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, also a Canucks writer over for Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it's your Canucks every day.
See, you almost said it wrong.
I almost
said it wrong, man.
But I got it.
Yeah, you got it. I like it.
All right. Make sure if you haven't done so already, you know what, help us out. Make sure you go subscribe or follow us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We also got a contest running. If you want to win 2 tickets to a Canucks game March 25th, make sure you subscribe to this channel or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and then subscribe to the Discord as well. The link is in the bio of this episode. Before we get into things, I also got to let you know today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. He's a guy that you haven't thought about too much this season in Vancouver because, well, he's missed over half the season. But when he's been in the lineup, the Canucks have been nearly unbeatable, okay? 1 regulation loss in the last, 22, 23 games since Carson Soucy's been back. So we got to talk about Carson Soucy today. The impact he's had for Vancouver. It's kind of quiet, but it's grown louder, especially over the last few games here. Also want to talk about Thatcher Demko's injury, what's next for the Vancouver Canucks, how long he's expected to be out. And again, it's just the real first test of adversity that this team has faced this season. We'll wrap up the episode going through Ghosts of the Week. Drop a little for you listening out there where we rank the best 5 Canucks from last week. Okay, there we go. Before we get to any of that, let me introduce my co-host, someone who I'm stoked to call one of my best friends, Kyle Bound. How's it going on, brother?
Yeah, man, and that somehow survived, even though some crazy things have happened between Trevor and I, you know? But again, the only thing that keeps bringing us together is the Vancouver Canucks, and I think there's a bigger purpose here for you and I, where we kind of have to leave the past in the past or in the Discord, okay? You know what? We're going to tell all the real, true stories between Trevor and Kyle's friendship in the Discord, okay? So again, the link is in the bio. Enter and, fall in love with us and fall in love with the chance of winning. Winning what? 2 tickets to that game against the Kings on March the 25th. We'll announce the winner on March the 22nd. So many things to talk about. Beggsy, the weekend. Dude, my Packers making a ton of moves in the NFL. Too bad this isn't a Packer show, you know? It's a Carson Soucy show. I can't believe we're saying this, man. We're starting off this week talking about Carson Soucy. We just won 4 straight games. You know what I'm saying? Thatcher Demko's hurt. He's hurt for quite some time. And here we are, I think, eating our words just a bit because I don't think you and I realized how important this signing was. In fact, I'm pretty sure you wanted Connor Clifton more than you wanted Carson Soucy. Now, for me,
yeah,
dude, I'm an honest guy, yo. I don't watch a lot of other teams play hockey games. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know much about Carson Soucy, and I was willing for the change to happen because I want to see something new. But I don't even think anyone in the NHL, maybe some Seattle Kraken fan, okay? Maybe some Seattle Kraken fans. I don't think anyone saw this type of play from Carson Soucy. And what we're seeing is a lot of consistency, a lot of discipline, a lot of focus, and a lot of him just winning all his battles, all his decision making. It's like whatever he wants to do is working, and it's working all the time. And I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. It's the same reason why we love Chris Tanev in Vancouver, because very rarely he makes a bad decision. In fact, most of the time when this guy makes plays, they're progressive. They're good for the team. And I'm getting the same type of vibes from Carson Soucy.
I hope when Thatcher Demko returns from injury, he comes back like Carson Soucy. I mean, this guy, after missing, I know he missed time in spurts here, but, he was out for a couple months. He comes back and he's looking like one of the best defensemen in the NHL, And again, it's like flashy about his game. He almost reminds me a bit more Dan Hamhuis than Chris Tanev, if that makes any sense. I just think in terms of, brings a bit more physicality in terms of just the way he gets the puck out of the zone. but again, he's just a solid, sturdy defenseman.
Mhm.
And again, one thing that I was skeptical about coming into the season is that Carson Soucy had never played consistently in a top 4 matchup role. And he hasn't had the consistency to do it here. But what we have seen over the past week is since he's been back, what have the Canucks done? They absolutely shut down the Los Angeles Kings. They shut down Vegas. They shut down the Winnipeg Jets, all while Carson Soucy is playing in a top 4 role. And a good chunk of that on his offside, right? We're talking about a guy playing on the right side of the defense too. So
this guy's really good, Trevor. He's really, really good. And you know what? Now that you brought up that statement about how your concerns were kind of over the fact that he's never actually been given that type of spotlight, and the Vancouver Canucks were in a position last year where they needed to like go after top 4 defensemen. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I understand why we felt as if outside of Hronek, that still wasn't an addition on this team. But fast forward to the now, I don't know, man. I know Carson Soucy's only played 24 games this season, but he's been given a lot of responsibility in those 24, 25 games. First off, coming off the injury, he's got to save Tyler Myers' career. And he did it. No, he did it. He did it, bro. He got Tyler Myers to find some confidence. He really did.
Yeah.
That's a tough mission. And now he's playing top 4 minutes on the opposite side, aka just being given a lot more responsibility. And I think a guy like that lives off of it. Maybe he's been dying for this moment, given some more time. And him being right behind Hronek and Hughes is giving him that opportunity to be one of the big time answers for this team moving forward. I mean, look at that contract, right? It's for 3 years. That means we got 2 more years of Carson Soucy after this. That means that a contract year is coming up in the near future. I don't want to jump too ahead in the future, but I think there's reason to believe that his best hockey is still ahead of him. Straight up. And he's a lot better, again, than we think he is. Now, I know Trevor may have a list in front of him, but can we go through some of the free agent signings from last year? Because I'm starting to feel like this guy is the steal of free agency. Again, a 3-year deal, under $10 million, playing potentially on his way to be like a top 4 defenseman. I'll say it right now. Bro, that's a steal.
Yeah, let me rip off some of the guys that got paid more on an annual basis than Carson Soucy did last summer. So Dmitry Orlov, and this is an interesting one. Dmitry Orlov signed a 2-year deal with the Carolina Hurricanes with an average annual value of $7.75 million per season. He was a big fish last year's trade deadline, then signs with Carolina in the offseason. And everyone's like, oh, this luxury piece is going to play on the third pair. Carolina's going to be stacked. Well, Orlov, he's kind of struggled. He's actually averaging less ice time than Carson Soucy. Dmitry Orlov is playing around 17.04 per game.
Holy.
About 17.5 minutes per game. So Carson Soucy arguably providing more value than a guy who was the marquee signing in free agency last year, marquee guy at the trade deadline last year, and a guy who signed for more than double his contract on an annual basis. So that's the big defenseman off the board from last year. Ryan Graves struggled in Pittsburgh this year. John Klingberg, horrendous defensively now on Robidas Island with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shane Gostisbehere, he's provided some value for the Detroit Red Wings. Radko Gudas, he's kind of buried in Anaheim. Matt Dumba struggled in Arizona. Scott Mayfield got a 7-year deal with the New York Islanders, and he's not as good as Soucy, put it that way. Justin Hall is a healthy scratch in Detroit. Connor Clifton, who, again, I gotta eat pie on that one, man. Whatever you want to call it, some nasty mud pie, because I kept saying Connor Clifton was a better target than Carson Soucy. It hasn't worked out for Clifton in Buffalo this season. Maybe that's a product of Buffalo. Maybe it's Connor Clifton, but I really like what Clifton brought before this season happened. But those are all the defensemen who on an annual basis got paid more than Carson Soucy in free agency last year. And I don't think there's a single one on that board who has played better than Carson Soucy this season when he's been healthy in lineup.
And even think about this. There's a small chance that if the Canucks keep Ethan Bear, maybe they don't have the space to get Carson Soucy. Real talk, man. There's a lot of things that went on there. And again, to get Carson Soucy for 3 years at less than $10 million is just remarkable, considering, again, how efficient he is. I don't know what the fancy stat data metric is, but I feel as if, again, whatever he wants to do is happening 95% of the time, and it's in favor of the Vancouver Canucks. He is really, really efficient at doing the right thing, and he's slotting in to be the 3rd most important defenseman on this team. Dude, come on. You got to give this guy a lot. We should hang up a banner for him for saving Myers, how bad was Myers early on in the season? Dude, he was so horrible.
Yeah.
Unconfident, couldn't find his game. And there's Carson Soucy with the poise and the discipline. And I think this has a lot to do with his leadership ability. I think he's really liked in that room. He has this feel about him. It seems like he really cares about being a Vancouver Canuck. And then you had Rick Tocchet talking about how this guy's always smiling in the room. Again, I think Carson Soucy is really, really important to the Vancouver Canucks. And if anyone is watching this from the Seattle Kraken point of view, maybe the thumbnail got somebody, you know, I just want to know, like, why do you think Seattle let him go? Why do you know what I'm saying? Because he seems to have a lot of those intangibles, again, on the ice and off the ice.
Yeah, I think Seattle honestly had other defensemen they preferred over him. Like Will Borgen was a guy they chose to keep around. You already have Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, Jamie Alexiak. Justin Schultz plays more of an offensive role, a different game than Carson Soucy. And yeah, it's a bit of a puzzling decision for sure. The other thing too is that 2 years ago in Seattle, he had 10 goals and 21 points. And last season his offensive numbers dropped. So it's like, is this guy on a decline? He's not even playing against, in a top four role. It was a luxury piece for Seattle. But again, this guy had been through 3 seasons with Seattle, 2 seasons with Seattle, and a season in Minnesota, where he's only been a bottom pairing defenseman. And one of the things that I was skeptical about heading into the season, again, Ian Cole and Carson Soucy played together on a bottom pairing for the Minnesota Wild, who last time I checked were, the most mid team in NHL history. So it's like, okay, you're going to have these guys on the Wild's bottom pairing and the Canucks top 4. I'm like, something just doesn't seem right there, but it hasn't been a long, they haven't been together for a lot this season because of Soucy's injuries, but like, man, oh man, they look like they could be a top pairing on a Scottish Cup contender the way they've been playing.
If Ian Cole picks it up, I think that's a pretty solid second pairing. Considering this, right? The playoffs are around the corner. And look at this commenter, okay? We got D. Anders doing the production work for us, okay? He's naming off the Canucks' top 6 defensemen, even if, Myers is in the lineup, I'm assuming, okay? So he got Hughes, Hronek, Soucy, Ian Cole, Noah Juleson, Zadorov. He has them in a different order, but those are the 6 names. I think that you can survive with this if A, Carson Soucy is playing this efficient and this good, and B, Hronek and Hughes are playing 31, 32 minutes in the playoffs. And that sounds so outrageous, but, we've played against pairings like that in the past. We just never had defensemen like that in the past. So we're not used to having our D-men be relied on like that in playoff games. But, bro, that's how teams win championships. I wonder how much minutes a guy like Victor Hedman has gotten in recent history in most of his playoff games. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. How about a guy like Alex Pietrangelo? Same thing. In the past, Duncan Keith, Drew Doughty. These guys play 30-plus minutes in the playoffs. So I think, again, you can survive and AKA get to June, get that Stanley Cup with this decor. If Carson Soucy is playing this good. I've been talking so much about Quinn Hughes being like, we have Quinn Hughes. If he's playing this good, he's the 3rd best player in hockey right now. He can carry this decor, Chris Letang did it in the past. Like, it can happen, It's so much easier for that all to happen again if Carson Soucy is playing like he's 86 overall, 85 overall. A lot better than we thought he was going to be.
100%. Let us know in the comments if you think Carson Soucy was the biggest steal in NHL free agency from last season. I certainly think that could be the case among defensemen. Overall, our boy Teddy Bluger might have something to say about that too, or P.U. Suter. Maybe the Canucks just stole all the best free agents from last season, and that's one of the reasons they're contending for the Stanley Cup. Again, a lot's gone right in Vancouver this season. One thing that hasn't gone right is Thatcher Demko now on the shelf. Is it the worst thing in the world, though? Maybe not.
No.
We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that on the other side. Before we do that, let's shout out our friends at Game Time. All right, you know me. I'm a big last-minute deals guy, and I found that the best place for killer deals at the last minute is Game Time. I'm going to be going to Game Time because, those Canucks playoff tickets, again, the Canucks are in the playoffs. Your Vancouver Canucks will be playing home games. The first time they put a home game in the playoffs since I hit puberty. So it's a big deal. I'm going to be looking for tickets. And I'm going to be looking on Game Time because they have a lowest price guarantee. If the world shuts down, they got event protection cancellation. They got views from the seats. Okay. So you can check out the app. You can see where you're sitting, get the feel for it. Okay. And Nicole, again, she's going to be pestering me about it, teasing me, if you will, because she's always sending those emails, letting me know what's going on in my area. If you're not, you don't want to fork out the money for Canucks, you can find tickets for other things on Game Time, like for concerts, comedy, theaters, and more. Now, you have no choice but to get off your beautiful rear end and check out a Canucks game or something else on a Friday night. So make sure you snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Man, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight in Vancouver, all my real fans.
We back on this conversation about your Vancouver Canucks. But this one is called Locked On Canucks. One love to the Locked On Podcast Network. Establishing that culture, telling us to tell the people it's your team every day. And you know what? We tell them right away. Screw that. We're not doing that, Locked On. We're telling them it's your Canucks every day, okay? What other team matters? What other team matters, okay? Now, speaking of mattering, the fans, the people, you want to learn more and more about Trevor's relationship with Kyle Bound, okay? This friendship that they have, how it's formed through so much trial and tribulation, okay? Remember that one time I saved you on Granville Street prior to my ex's birthday? We were going to venue. Maybe that story will be told somehow, some way on the Discord, and maybe, just maybe, you will win 2 tickets to a Canucks game because you joined the Discord. Yeah, we're announcing the ticket giveaway on March the 22nd. We got 2 tickets for the Kings game on the 25th of that same month. Before we get to Thatcher Demko talk, let's talk about the fans because, I just want to give a bit of love to the homie Ryan. Okay, look at this guy, Ryan, telling the people to go outside, go for a walk, put it in the air. Tell the universe and Mother Nature that we are winning the Stanley Cup, okay? And Ryan is also chilling in US today because he's got the flu, but he is watching the best hockey podcast on the planet. Hey, get well soon. And if you are actually going on a walk while you're sick, breathe the air, obviously, and tell, like how you're telling the universe that the Canucks are going to win the Stanley Cup. Tell yourself that you're going to get over that sickness by tomorrow. Trust me, yo. It works in mysterious ways. What? Hope. Straight up, man. Dude, sometimes I'm not even hoping the Canucks win the Stanley Cup. I know the Canucks are winning the Stanley Cup this year. And Thatcher Demko, the way he's been playing prior to this injury, it reminds you that, man, oh man, if the Canucks are struggling, and I know they haven't been struggling recently with their 5-on-5 play, but let's say they are, this guy is good for less than 1 goal a game. Like when he's on. He will make every save. And you know what? We won that game against the Jets on Saturday, and we dominated. We really did. We played a perfect game. But the first minute of the game, Thatcher Demko was marvelous. He really was. He set the tone for the rest of the way. We're going to miss Thatcher Demko, but if the Canucks, again, can find a way to just play the same way defensively, I think they're going to survive this. How scared are you of this whole Demko thing? I'm all over the place. I'm trying not to get emotional, as you can tell. But are you concerned at all? Because I'm not.
I mean, the only reason I'm not concerned is that the reports coming out of that is fairly short term. He might miss a few games. I saw, maybe a couple of weeks. But it doesn't appear to be the groin or hip issue, things that have bothered him in the past, things that have required surgery in the past. Obviously, with the groin issue, he missed 3 months last season, right? So that would concern me if it was a groin or a hip issue, but it sounds like that's not the case. So no, I'm not concerned. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. The Canucks have built up quite the cushion. It's not like we're battling for our playoff lives here, Casey DeSmith, I think, has been really good this season, not even just the Wild game, but I think overall, you look at his numbers and they're not spectacular, but there has not been a lot of games where Casey DeSmith has been off his game. And in fact, maybe the Minnesota one might have been the only one. And even that was a pretty weird game. Casey DeSmith has been, in my mind, one of the best backup goalies in the league. And then he's supported by the defense, who right now, defense, forwards, the whole team is looking so cohesive. They're allowing almost nothing in the middle of the ice. And I mean, Demko had to make some good saves against the Jets early on, but you had Rick Bowness come out after the game and say that was the worst game the Jets had played in his 2 years as head coach. Mm-hmm. And they did have a few chances at the beginning, and then the Canucks tend to shut her down. But the Vegas game, the Winnipeg or the LA game, the Canucks gave up next to nothing. Like, I think there was 7 high danger chances at even strength combined in both the Jets game, both in the Kings game and the Vegas game. So the defense looking so good. Again, Carson Soucy's back. He's doing his thing. I'd like to see Philip Hronik maybe holding up his end of the bargain on the pair with Hughes a bit better, because I think Hughes has bounced back a lot recently. Hronik not so much. But no, I'm not worried overall. And I think one of the main things in terms of the glass half full approach about Demko's injury is that it is forced rest. The Canucks went through a stretch in February. They played him 10 and 12, 11 of 13 games. DeSmith only got 2 starts in February. That's too much. And I think, they're going to be forced to rest Demko here, obviously, with the injury. But, look at the Canucks schedule ahead. Big game against the Avalanche coming up this week on Wednesday, but some time off, right? That's the only game until Saturday. And then you have Capitals, you have the Sabres, you have the Canadiens, you have the Flames, and then you have the Kings, right? So you have the Kings are going to be a good challenge, but you have 4 teams in a row after the Avalanche that are all out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Look at this. Casey DeSmith, right? He's got like 16, 17, 18 starts this season. I don't know what the number is, but I feel as if he's only lost or hasn't picked up points in 4 of those games.
Yeah.
Straight up. He's in it. I do agree with you. I think the Canucks, and I don't know why this kind of blew past me. Like I didn't acknowledge it enough, but looking back at it, I feel like the Canucks should have played DeSmith a lot more. And more specifically, I don't know why you and I haven't gotten on the phone and ranted about this because it really matters. I gotta ask this question, like, okay, where's the beep button? I'm gonna press it, okay? Let's load this thing up, okay? Why the oh, my bad. A lot of beeps. Why did Demko play that game? If he wasn't feeling well, body-wise, physically, maybe in the morning skate, as alluded to by Jeff Patterson, and why the hell did he play the second period when he told Casey DeSmith, get ready, you might be coming in? You get what I'm saying? Like, how come we're not up in arms about that? Because that's weird. That's strange. That's not efficient. That's, like, honestly, you know why he did it? Because he's competitive. As competitive as he wanted to beat the Jets, even though he was up 3-0, you know? Like, dude, the game's pretty much wrapped up. He still wanted to make sure that nothing was gonna get in the way of them beating the Jets. That's why he came out. He's a competitive dude. These games matter. The Canucks are not used to playing games like that. They're filling up their athletic quota. You know what I'm saying? That mindset. That's the only thing keeping them in games. But man, oh man, like through injury and whatnot. But it's the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Like, do that in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit puzzling. I mean, it's funny. I saw an interview from Bruce Boudreau this morning that said he left 98% of the goaltending decisions up to Ian Clark. And yeah, you wonder what goes on behind closed doors, right? Like, was Ian Clark saying like Demko's a little banged up, he should be fine though? I mean, you know, if you're Rick talking the coaching staff, you're probably just going off of what the goaltending coach is telling you. Like, I do believe what Bruce Boudreau says probably applies to most NHL coaches, right? Goalies are so different that they're mainly just working with the goalie coach, right? The coaches aren't, and they're analyzing like, oh, what's going on? It's relying on your goalie coach first and foremost. So I think Ian Clark has earned the benefit of the doubt for the most part. Maybe Demko wasn't leading on exactly how he felt to the training staff. Who knows, right? But I think the important thing moving forward is just that, you know, let Demko get the rest. The Canucks are in the playoffs. It doesn't really matter where they finish. I mean, I think we all want them to, you know, win the West, you'll get an advantage. It doesn't matter where they finish. Okay, this is a good Canucks team, and I think they're still going to win a good chunk of games, even with the Smith and net. I'm very curious to see if a backup goaltender gets a shot because Silovs has not been great this year. Tolopio has never played an NHL game. And Zach Sawchenko, who's the other guy who they signed in the offseason, who's buried in the ECHL, hasn't even played an AHL game this year. So I'm really curious what they're going to do. And it's interesting that this happened right after the deadline as well, right? No chance.
It's interesting.
For insurance.
Something tells me that we're being told the truth and that this isn't really serious. I feel like playing with fire is worrisome. That's me being soft and traumatic. It's so much to the point where, like, again, I'm willing to just call out Thatcher Demko for potentially making the wrong move by listening to his competitive nature too much. But you know what? At the same time, and we said this about Ilya Mikheyev too, I think that's why this team likes Mikheyev or loves Mikheyev. And these are the type of things that allow teams to bond when, you know, you see your brothers putting it all on the line for this moment, you know, the next period, the second period of game 66, you know what I'm saying? You build that camaraderie through that. And I know the boys appreciate that. It's a lot of components to what's happening right now at the Vancouver Canucks. Demko obviously being a big one, and I just hope he's back with enough time to get that form back before the playoffs. And potentially just, do I have to bring this up, bro? Come on, the playoffs are a grind. You know how we just talked about how that Casey DeSmith should have been playing some games in February? Yo, Thatcher Demko, history speaks that you get injured a lot. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, bro, the backup doesn't play no games. If the backup's playing games, I'm losing hair, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed off. I'm calling in sick to work. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
I just hope they're more careful next time, you know? Straight up.
Well, Kyle, if only they listen to us. But whether they listen to us or not, you know, we're going to keep giving you the goods here. All Locked On Canucks. Let's continue giving you the goods on the other side, talking about the GOATs of the week, the 5 best Canucks from last week. Before we do that, let's shout out our friends at FanDuel. All right, so over at FanDuel, you can bet on all kinds of sports, but right now, March Madness is coming back. Okay, so say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a one seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You could even pick who's going to win it all. So just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Why would they do that? Am I missing something here? What's going on? Quickly from our friends at FanDuel as well, the Canucks Cup odds, okay? We always like bringing this up. They've climbed, so they are no longer plus 2,200 and 12th overall like they were before. They're now plus 1,500, but they still only have the 9th best odds of winning the Cup. FanDuel. You can say that they're slighting the Canucks because I've been on other apps where it's, Canucks have like top 3 best odds of winning the Cup. But maybe FanDuel's just trying to do you a solid and make sure you bet on the Canucks to win the Cup because, hey, 9th best odds, plus $1,800, $10 will win you $180, $100 will win you $1,800.
Okay, calculator, relax,
right
buddy. Nobody's watching, bro. Come on, man. You don't have to be a calculator live on air right now, okay? Come on. Your girlfriend's not watching, all right? Come on, man.
All right. FanDuel.com/lockdown. Go check it out.
Trevor, man, it's not about you, bro. Come on, man. Bragging on air. That's something else. Okay, we back on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowman. That right there is Trevor Beggs. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It makes our woman happier. Straight up, it does, man. Beggsy and Bowen, happily in love with some beautiful women, and they like Cactus Club, man. Honestly, they just like it when we're happy, And the community is growing, and it's beautiful, and we're warming up for changes in the playoffs and more interaction and just more hanging out with Canucks fans, man. Bro, I'd rather hang out with Canucks fans than my girlfriend on most occasions, all right? Especially when the team is really good. Come on, man. There's nothing better. Come on, bro. Nobody's watching. Like, you can say it too, Trevor, okay? Your girl's not watching, bro. It's the truth, man. Nothing better than cheering for a #1 team and like a potentially Cup favorite type of team while you're just around your brothers and sisters who also cheer for the Vancouver Canucks, for real.
All I'll say is that my girl cheers for the Ottawa Senators, so I think you know my answer on this one. But as Canuck fans, we got to celebrate the guys who are, really making an impact right now, and we let you know who's making the biggest impact when we run the segment called the Goats of the Week. All right, some weeks it's easier than others to do Goats of the Week. Some weeks it's pretty tough. This week feels a little bit easy because what I've seen over the past week is, the whole team stepping up, but they're led by the star players. So I'm going to start with, first and foremost, my #1 Goat of the Week first. And I'm going with Quinn Hughes, who, had a bit of a lull there in February, but has stepped up to being not even the Norris caliber defenseman that we all know and love, but even someone who could be a potential MVP candidate. Just such a creator out there. Again, you hope he's going to figure out on the power play at some point, but in terms of what he brings at even strength, nothing's happening when he's on the ice. In the defensive zone, a lot's happening in the offensive zone when he's on the ice. The ice is just so heavily tilted when Quinn Hughes is out there that, when the Canucks are playing well and he's doing his thing, like, to me, he was the best Canuck from last week, but he's been the best Canuck so far this season as well.
Dude, again, this guy's going to play 30 minutes a game in a couple of weeks, okay? If he's playing like he did on Saturday, when you have a guy on your team like that, you feel unbeatable. There's very few players in hockey that can do that, or in any sport. Quinn Hughes, such an outlier. Quinn Hughes playing like he's the 3rd best player in hockey. Quinn Hughes en route to a Conn Smythe winner, man. Like, we're talking about the Norris, man. I'm talking about the Conn Smythe. Can we put those T-shirts out? Quinn Hughes for the Conn Smythe. Come on, man.
Quinn Hughes for the Conn Smythe, man. Let's go. Second, I have JT Miller. Again, he was the one Canuck that was going through it all of February. He's still going right now. He's still going up against the top players on the other team on a nightly basis, producing, controlling possession when he's out there. I think you saw the best of JT Miller last week. Maybe not the best. He was pretty good in February, but he was pretty damn good. 2 goals in 3 games last week. #3, I have Thatcher Demko, who only led in 2 goals this week when he was in action, right? He led in a goal against the Kings, a goal against the Knights, and then perfect against Winnipeg before exiting the game. Again, too bad that he's now injured, but get the rest, get well soon, and help the team win a Stanley Cup. The only reason he wasn't, maybe first or second is because he didn't really have to face a lot of high danger chances this week. The defense shut things down. But still, when he was in there, he was great. And obviously made a couple big saves against Winnipeg and made the save of the year last week as well against the LA Kings, man. Unbelievable. Get your rest.
Huge character win. Huge character win against the Kings a couple games ago. And yeah, Demko led us there. He really did. Because you need moments like that to really shift the culture. And the Canucks were down and they fought hard and they played pretty much a complete last 40 minutes of hockey. And it's definitely trickled over to what we're seeing now. A team that's ironically going to be fine without Thatcher Demko in the immediate future because I feel like the Canucks are back. Anyways, Beggsy, get through this list. We got to get to the comments, okay? Come on, man.
Well, I'll wrap it up with two guys who play in the same line. At number 4 from last week, I have Elias Pettersson, 2 goals, 4 points in 3 games, and then Nils Höglander at number 5, who hit the 20-goal mark for the first time in his career. Nils, who do you fill the throw when you have Nils the throw, man? Come on, unbelievable stuff. And then quickly for the yearly power rankings, I believe Hughes has been the Canucks' best player this season, but based on the power rankings, which again is more of a weekly snapshot, Miller is leading the way in the yearly power rankings. It goes Miller, then Hughes, then Pettersson, Demko are tied, and then Besser and Höglander are tied. So just a quick snapshot of how the Canucks have performed this season in terms of their GOAT status.
Unreal, man. Straight up, man. Quinn Hughes for the Conn Smythe. That is something else, man. That really is. That's the energy, man. Okay, let's get to some comments before we get out of here. Let's have the comments go all over the place, okay? Because this team just doing a lot, and I haven't really talked to Trevor about the Canucks in recent history, aka the weekend, okay? Bluger, playing a lot on the 4th line. This guy saying, lefty, saying they will re-sign Bluger for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alvin alluded to Teddy Bluger being the most elite 4th line center in hockey history. I think they're signing this guy. No, but yo, honestly, we talked about Carson Soucy at the top, right? Being the steal of free agency. I'm not going to say Teddy Bluger is that. Only a 1-year deal and getting paid quite a lot for being a healthy scratch, let's be honest, prior to signing that contract. But Alvin wanted Bluger not for what he was doing on the ice specifically when it comes to, I think, having him as a priority to bring on the team. It was more of that off-ice culture stuff that needed to happen ASAP. And all those things matter, man. For so much success to happen so quickly, it's not just what's been happening on the ice. Like, the players and the people that they brought in to change things overall, I think they're even surprised at how it's worked so quickly because the culture is completely different. And yeah, Teddy Bluger off the ice must be a legend in the training room, etc. Like, you've been up in the press box a couple times. Like, maybe you've been in the dressing room. Like, do you feel that kind of aura around Teddy Bluger as well?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's been there before. Don't get me wrong. I haven't seen him around the press room a lot. He's probably, jonesing up with the guys after the game, having snacks, But yeah, I think Teddy Bluger, I would say that I don't think it's a given they re-sign him, to be honest with you, because I think he might be a guy who's priced himself out if you want to re-sign guys like Hronek or potentially to go to Joshua. So I think it's probably 50-50 he comes back, to be honest with you.
Okay. That's life, man. It's a good team. It really is. We have D. Anders 49 commenting on every video that we specifically do an episode on Connor Garland and the importance of Connor Garland. He's saying he's overshadowed by JT Miller. Yeah, I think Connor Garland right now is being overshadowed by a guy like Nils Höglander too. There's just a lot of good players on this team, and Garland is definitely one of those guys. We talk about how, Lindholm is playing better, and I think people are open to Podkolzin being a part of that trio in the long term so they can have Teddy Bluger in the number 4 spot, which then brings up the question like, oh, where do you put Dakota Joshua? Dude, think about this. What if Dakota Joshua's in the top 6? Contract year, good skater, good 2-way player, a little bit skilled. You never know, okay? He could probably give you more than Ilya Mikheyev. Anyways, I think Lindholm's playing a lot better because Connor Garland is the guy he's beside, a guy that has a lot of confidence, makes things happen, and he's been so consistent from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, Lindholm needs to play with star players, and guess what? Connor Garland might be a star player in the NHL. Absolute line driver out there. And yeah, he does kind of get forgotten about because of guys like Miller, Pettersson, Höglander. So Garland's just been so good this season. He was so good against Vegas earlier this week as well. So yeah, Garland, maybe the most underrated player in the NHL.
Oh man. Okay, I can't find the comment. It was something about Trevor Beggs and stealing girlfriends and being a human calculator and impressing people. You know what? You know what's more impressive than being a human calculator? Being a hockey podcaster, okay? Now, unfortunately, we can't practice our hockey podcasting game in the clubs because we're in love with hot woman. Okay, it's all good. It's over, man. Like we locked up, right? Like we've completed life. But in a past life, I wonder how that would work in the club. If the Canucks were really good and the clubs were busy, or the bars were busy, and you were just a single fella, and you just dropped that line. Hey, by the way, baby, you should follow my Canucks podcast, right? Boom. What happens? Who knows? Find out in the Discord, okay? Win 2 tickets to a Canuck game, March the 25th. We're going to give out the tickets on March the 22nd. You got to, subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the Discord to qualify. One love, hit the like button, subscribe. Go Canucks, go Carson Soucy, go. And Thatcher Demko, rest up, take care. And this is another reminder that I know this is fresh to you, but game 66 of the regular season, when you're on top of the standings, is really not that important, okay? Anyways, Trevor Beggs, sign us out.
Hey, shout out to each and every one of you, whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener, a first-time listener, a new subscriber, or if you joined us here on the live YouTube show. We love each and every one of you, your families, and your pets too, okay? Because we're full of love here on Locked On Canucks.
Woo!
It's you, the people. And it's also partially because the Canucks are the best team in the NHL, okay? Lots of things going on. Again, pretty quiet week. So Kyle and I will talk about all the news related to your Vancouver Canucks injuries. They get back on the ice for practice tomorrow. And of course, we'll preview the road ahead against the Avalanche and some of the potential teams the Canucks may face in the playoffs. Stay tuned for all the banter and satire here on Locked On Canucks. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bowen, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Quinn Hughes for the Conn Smythe. You want to manifest that? That's the details, baby. You're only going to get to where you want to go if you take care of the details. All right? Peace out.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast